campus, and then hopefully get some feedback. So the way we have it set up is we'll do some brief introductions of our offices, the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs, EURECA, our new STEAM team and what they aim to do, and then we'll wrap it up and leave it with some time for question and answers. Our hope's to kind of start a scholarly conversation about what you all as students would like to see here at Sam Houston State University. So before I kind of dive in, I wanted to introduce two people. The first is our Associate Provost, Chief Research Officer, Dr. Chad Hargrave. So I'll let him come up and just kind of explain his job and introduce himself.
I don't know if I should use this. I don't really teach anymore, so I'm not as loud as I used to be. I used to be loud to the point where I think I yelled at people when they were just standing right here. I'd like talk to them as if I'm lecturing. Can you all hear me all right? So my name is Chad Hargrave. I'm the Associate Provost of Research. About a half a year ago, so EURECA has been around for some time. EURECA is the Center for Undergraduate Engagement. It's been around for some time, but just recently we put EURECA under the Office of Research for a strategic reason, mainly to leverage the resources in our office so that we can better meet the needs of you all as students. Step one in understanding what your needs are is to have these forums to basically get your feedback, your experiences, and get your advice on how we better can structure our programs to meet your needs. So this is the first of two. There's not as I was like envisioning this being like I always say a rave in my office, but I'm old, so they laugh at me. I don't think they're called raves anymore. What are they called now? They are? Okay, I was expecting more like that. I wanted the room packed, but whatever. Tell your friends and peers to come tomorrow because it is a really valuable exercise. And engaging in with a faculty member in their scholarship is an extremely valuable practice. How many of you currently work with faculty in their labs or studios or whatever? How many of you knew you could? How many of you want to? That's kind of a dumb question, I think. All right, let me just tell you a quick story that I think will launch y'all into this, and then I'll get out of here. I may not stay the whole time, so I apologize to y'all. It's not because I don't think it's important. It is. The only reason I'm at Sam Houston State as an associate provost of research is because I got engaged when I was probably your age with a faculty member helping them do research. I'm an ecologist, I'm a fish ecologist, so that's what my research was when I was a faculty member and what I got started in as an undergraduate. But you can get engaged in any type of activity. It can be studio work, it can be, I always use pottery as an example, I don't know why. It can be math, it can be biology. It can be the social sciences, it can be anything. What we want to do is try to connect you with those faculty because I understand as a student, we're scary. We shouldn't be scary, but we're scary. I understand that. You may not realize that you can interact with a faculty member or approach a faculty member. You may not know how to. That's what this office is for, is to help you figure out how to do that. Let me tell you my story real quick. Because I think my story can be replicated, multiplied an infinite number of times. And I'm sure it has, because if you talk to faculty anywhere on campus, a lot of these individuals sitting up here, I know they've had the same experience I had. So I was a freshman. I was actually at a community college. And I wasn't a freshman. I think I was a freshman, actually. It was my second semester. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I really liked biology, and I was kind of good at it for some reason, even though I didn't do well at it in high school. In college, I did well at it. So it was my second, it was Bio 2. I was sitting in the front row of the bio class. I always sat in front row. I try to tell my students to do the same. And the professor came in and said, hey, I have a job. It pays $6 an hour. This is like 1993, so that was a lot of money back then. If you're interested in it, stay after class and fill out an application. I stayed out. I was like, oh, $6 an hour. I'm staying after class for that. I stayed after class, filled out an application. He interviewed a group of students. I think it was like 3 of us. And for some reason, I got the job. I think it was because I sat in the front row. And I started working for this faculty member in their laboratory. This faculty, I didn't really know what this person did. I just thought the class was interesting, thought he was a good professor, and I was having fun learning in the classroom. Well, what this person was, he was an ichthyologist. That's a person that studies fishes. And he was like a really well-respected ichthyologist in the state of Arkansas. He wrote a book called The Fishes of Arkansas, and he's like highly respected. I had no idea about that. But what he hired me to do was to help him curate his fish collection. And so that's like sitting in a laboratory, like identifying fish, counting them, and creating labels. And I thought it was cool because I was learning about all these fish, and I'm like, I just thought little fish were baby fish. I didn't realize there were millions of species of little tiny fish called minnows. That shows you how little I knew. And so I was like, this is interesting. I was learning a lot. And then he's like, hey, I have a couple field trips to go out and collect fish in these rivers. You want to go with me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I went with him in the field. And keep in mind, I was getting paid for all this. So I started doing field work with him. And then I was exposed to a completely different aspect of science, which is being out in the field and collecting fish. So we were like, pulling seines through rivers, electroshocking things, working with the Arkansas Game and Fish, where we threw this poison called rotenone as a root. It actually constricts the capillaries of the gills of fish, so they come up to the surface to gulp air. So we basically would put a block net off and kill an entire cove and like collect all the fish out of the cove. Sounds brutal, but it was fascinating. I'm like, man, this is cool. We were doing a trip for rare fish. We were looking for a rare species in Arkansas. We were down on the southwest corner of Arkansas on the Red River, looking for this little fish called the big scale log perch. And we found it, and ultimately that was my first publication, is with this faculty member as an undergraduate. And I did the drawings in it. My brother's an architect and an artist, and I can always say, hey man, I have a drawing published. So I get to like one-up him on that one. But he has buildings that are way cooler than anything I could design. But anyways, my point is we're on the Red River. The sun, we're driving down the Red River, headed east, and it's early in the morning, and there's kind of like fog on the water. And I love water. I'm a boat person. And the sun was coming up over the horizon, over the trees. And the Red River is kind of a wild river, particularly in that area. And I just remember sitting on the front of the boat in my swimming suit, getting ready to collect fish and thinking, man, you can do this for a living? I had no idea that world existed. I didn't even realize, I just thought a professor taught classes. I thought you went to college and then you went and got a job. I had no idea that there was this whole thing about this whole aspect of learning. That was the day I was like, you know what? I'm going to kind of like change my focus. I was, at that point in time, I was kind of like headed for vet school. It's like, I'm going to change my focus, and I'm going to kind of get into this field biology thing. And that was that was at a community college. So it just illustrates that these opportunities exist anywhere. Sam Houston State is like really, really, really good for these opportunities. Probably one of the best places, I think, in the nation for these types of opportunities, because the faculty are so engaging. And I guarantee you probably 90, maybe 95% of the faculty have had that experience that I just described. You just ask them. We have a couple faculty here. I bet they've had that experience. That's why, and they want to give that experience to you all. That's why we're here, is to help establish those relationships. That faculty member I was working for at that community college called up, I had to go to the University of Arkansas because it was time for me to leave and go, get my 4-year degree. He called up a professor up there and was like, hey, take this kid Chad. He let him work in your lab and do a project. So I went and worked in his lab, did a project, and then I went to grad school and ultimately got a job here at SAM, and this is what I'm doing now. So in my current position, what I do is I get to help faculty be successful in their research. I don't really get to do my own research anymore, which isn't I kind of regret that. Not really, I do. I think about it, let's put it that way. I don't regret it, I think about it. But I get to help faculty find funding to do their work. Part of that funding is to pay you all to do exactly what I just described. We have a faculty member here, we have 2 faculty members here, and we have the coordinator of EURECA who works directly in my office. So that's my story. That's why y'all are here, or y'all are here to learn about, the potential, the opportunities. Take the opportunities, engage with the faculty member, use us to connect with faculty, because you just never know where it's going to go. You might be standing in my position one day trying to convince a bunch of, what are y'all, freshmen, sophomores? Sophomores. That's probably the average. Or maybe juniors, whatever. Convince some college students to engage faculty because there's something that you may never knew existed just waiting for you right around the corner, and all it involves is saying hi to somebody, and next thing you know, you're working with them. I'm going to get off the stage now because I talk too much, and here's Kelby.
No, that was super inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm going to turn it over real quick to the director of EURECA, Dr. Madhu Chowdhury.
I think I'm still lecturing, so that'll be okay. All right, so I'll tell you a different perspective. Of course, I shared what Dr. Hargrave mentioned as a faculty member, but I'll tell you a little bit kind of abstract perspective. So think about that, your textbook. When you have a textbook, why they get edited, new version, to have a new white pages or new color picture? Or what is the kind of, what's the kind of goal for that? Because every 5 or 10 years, your textbook get old. What means that in 5 or 10 years, whatever research has been done, that has not been added in the textbook. And that's why creating knowledge, so there are two aspects of learning. One is creating knowledge or creating ideas, and then second one is expressing it and give it to the student. So you are involved in learning, one part of the learning where you are reading text, you are learning the material, but the second important part, which is I think upstream of that learning, is how to create knowledge. And if you don't create knowledge, then we all will be stagnant. There's nothing will grow. So that's the purpose. Besides, it will look on your CV, you'll publish paper, you will have kind of some award, you may have some kind of, grant. But ultimate goal is to create knowledge and integrate that into the knowledge of learning. So that's important. The second aspect, which I want to tell you with my perspective, if suppose I got a job in age of 35 or 40, and you work for 30 years, you can publish 60 papers, 2 papers each year, or maybe 3 or 4, maybe 100 papers. So my goal as a scientist or as a researcher is not only the product of paper or grant, rather the product of human resource. If I can make 10 or 20 undergraduate student and let them to go to a level where they can do their own independent research, I have amplified that hundreds and thousands times in my lifetime. And I do tell you, the reason I'm proud of that experience is my student, whom I have probably 75 to 80 students went through my research lab. And some of them, of course, went to medical school. Recently, just I got from LinkedIn information that she got a faculty position in Baylor College of Medicine. It's such a proud moment when you see that somebody just, go in that kind of, rank and file. And there are a lot of PhD, a lot of doing postdocs, some of them are now in faculty position. That gives me, and I keep looking their publication, and that tells me that, oh, I have trained them, so maybe this is the way they have amplified now my production. Even though it is not, my name is not there, it does not matter. So what I consider is that what Dr. Hargrave mentioned, that even though he's not doing, suppose, his lab, but what he's doing is playing a role to facilitate the research at the university and bring in undergraduate, production team so that you can have more and more new knowledge in the field, every field. So I think that I'm looking forward more towards, interaction. So that's about it. I hope that I have given you some idea of why I am involved with research. Thank you.
So we just heard some really good stories about how some faculty members landed in their roles. So we're going to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit and talk about how the inner workings of this all happened. So how many of you know what the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs is? I don't think I did either as an undergraduate. So I'm going to let one of my colleagues kind of briefly describe what the office does, and then I'll kind of come in and talk about our new kind of student engagement focused arena within that system. So I will introduce Jonathan Thomas to kind of give you that overview.
I need the microphone. Can y'all hear me?
For the online component.
Okay. So briefly, I won't be as long-winded as my other colleagues. So my name is Jonathan Thomas. I'm the coordinator of research and proposal development. My job basically is to help faculty members secure grant money for you all's research and building. Basically, going over my personal story, I didn't know what research was. I went to HBU, Houston Baptist University. It was not really a research-focused institution. They're not really do research. They focus on other things. I don't know what that is. So basically, I took a course in my senior year. It was research in kinesiology. I have an undergrad Bachelor of Science in Sport Management. And my professor, she was teaching a research course, and that's really got my eyes open to research. So shout out to Dr. Studer. She was really involved with that, really developing the research components and really understanding that. So really building a mentorship. Then that led me to get my master's in higher education administration. That really helped me. I mean, it really wasn't research focused again, but I did take another research course that would help me develop my research ideas. And then it opened my eyes up to applying for this job and as the coordinator of research and post development. Quickly, just to go over our components of our office. So basically, we are in the project conception area. My job is really to just help generate ideas, really chisel away at it, and find an opportunity that aligns with it. And once we do that, we help students or help faculty members. I help faculty members apply for the opportunity, get all their stuff together, and then it moves to our budgets and submissions team. And we also have compliance and other labs that we have with TRIS, the Texas Research Institute for Environmental Studies, and then TISI, the Texas Invasive Species. And yes, sorry, online people. Texas Invasive Species Institute. That's another component of our office. So, like Dr. Hargrave said, he wanted to bring in student engagement. What's the missing piece of it all? Bringing in someone that has a voice for you, and that's where Kelby comes in. She's helping you. She will help you guys get to faculty members, help you guys really understand like what faculty members are doing and why they're doing it. And then I'm the one who's supposed to be giving the money to, or helping faculty secure money to get the money for the research that they want to do. So I think they have a video that they're gonna play after the no video. Okay, no video that's after this, but I guess we'll put it on YouTube or something.
Yeah, it's
so
on our EURECA webpage.
yeah, okay. So just make sure you check out our website. It's under the research and recognition on the shsu.edu, and it will tell you a lot more about this. It's a lot cleaner. You have our pictures and everything. It's a lot more accessible. Our information's on there, and thank y'all.
Thank you. So similar, but yet different than some of the other stories. So I actually started my journey here about 15 years ago as an undergraduate student at Sam Houston State University. So whenever I was a student here at Sam Houston State University, our theater department was probably one of the top 10 in the nation. It might still be, I'm not sure. But I started my journey there, and about my third or fourth year, I was kind of looking around thinking, man, I think I don't want to be done with my education. I want to go to grad school. So I met with some mentors in the theater department. They said, oh, really, you should go off and work before you enter grad school. And I thought, what's some other things that interest me? So I was actually doing an internship at Disney World, and that kind of spurred the idea. I was friends with Chip and Dale, and I was thinking, man, I really don't want my collegiate journey to end, but I like scuba diving, and I had friends that worked at SeaWorld. And so I thought, hey, that seems like a really fun career path. Maybe I could merge my interests and get a degree in, say, marine biology. And so I came back to campus, never took a science class, and I reached out to the chair of the biology department and said, hey, I'm a theater major. I don't really know exactly what scientists do. I've never taken a science class. Maybe I could meet with some of your faculty members and see what types of research they're doing. Do any of them do marine biology? They said, no, we don't have any faculty members that do just that, but we do have 2 faculty members who work with fish. So about 2 weeks later, I'd met with a faculty member and I was doing research in West Texas on some tiny, small fish. So going from marine biology to that experience was a little bit different than what I was thinking my career path would be. But had I not had that experience, it wouldn't led to another 12 years of me staying here, getting a master's in biology. I went on to get my PhD and just finished up a postdoc studying similar fish and looking at problems of salinization and how that affects our water resources. I wouldn't have had that had I not had that engaging opportunity to go out and actually conduct research and also talk about my career path with faculty members. Even in the theater department, when I talked with them, they gave me advice. And then I went to the biology department and they gave me advice. So without those experiences, my career would have been very different. And so I just am excited to say that I have come full circle and I'm now back at Sam Houston State, and I'm hoping to provide these types of opportunities for you all because I think that it changed my life, and I hope that these types of interactions can either strengthen where you think you want your career to go and or highlight what faculty members do, what types of research and scholarship is there out there, what do you do after you get a 4-year degree. And so I'm here to help you kind of explore some of those options. So with that being said, my current focus has been merging the Center for EURECA into the Office of Research. How many people know what a high impact practice is? Have you ever heard that terminology? No? That's okay. So a high impact practice is anything that you might participate in as a student that would lead to an accumulation of knowledge and maybe say a new skill set. Like you learn and then you were able to demonstrate something that you've never done before. So these take a range, these can happen in a range of ways, notably like internships, undergraduate research. But what we do know is that students who participate in this have greater success. Here at the university, their graduation rates are higher, especially if they participate in more than 2. But they have a real sense of connectedness and they enjoy their undergraduate experience a lot more. So it just demonstrates how important these high impact practices are. And it helps align you with your career path. If you don't get to experience what your career might look like, how do you know that that's exactly what you want to do? So that's kind of how the Center of EURECA was formed about a little over 10 years ago, was really to help you facilitate these high impact experiences. And so our main goal really, I can read this whole spiel of the mission statement, but it's really just to connect you with faculty members and even other mentors, grad students who are doing research so that you can share in the scholarship that's going on here at the university. So I don't know if any of you have ever heard of EURECA. Has anybody heard of EURECA? So we're noted for 2 kind of big things over the last 10 years. Faculty and student teams, so these are groups of faculty and students who work together over 10 weeks during the summer, and they conduct research. Or whatever that creative enterprise looks like. So we have faculty members in the arts, we have dance faculty who have participated in this, so it's definitely that can have that creative activities aspect as well. But it supports both the student getting paid and the faculty member getting paid. So that's one of the biggest things that EURECA has done. We also offer a STAP award, so if you're traveling to present any type of scholarship or research, we have funding to help you do that, so please reach out. The students actually directly apply for that with us. For the FAST grants, you would need to work with a mentor in getting that submitted. So as I was thinking about how I wanted to grow the Center for EURECA and offer more of those high impact practices, I really thought we really thought that having students a part of this process would be the most beneficial and intentional. What are students needing now? Yes, I was a student here, maybe not so long ago, but currently, how do our students perceive this type of enterprise, working with faculty members? So we thought it would be best if we brought in a student team, kind of like ambassadors. So we created the STEAM team, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. That way we have respective students from all of the different disciplines on campus that can tell us, hey, these are the types of opportunities we're wanting to see in this department. And that way we can intentionally address the needs of each department individually. So with that being said, I'm going to let our STEAM team come up and introduce themselves, why they joined the STEAM team, and what they're hoping to do as STEAM team members.
Hi, Hi, my name is Kate Chandler. Like you said, I'm a member of the STEAM team. So I'm a senior. My major is environmental science on the sustainability track. And so I would like to, when I graduate, I'd like to work in conservation, and I'd really like to advocate for people learning more about environmental science and advocating for those practices being implemented globally. And so I joined the STEAM team because I wanted other students to learn more about grants and proposals, and I also wanted them to learn about the importance of research. Until I was contacted by a faculty member, I really didn't know much about it. I didn't know why it was important. And so when Kelby was talking about the high impact practices, I had an internship over the summer with the EPA, and then I also was contacted by the Sam Houston State University Natural History Collections. So if you don't know what that is, they house fossils, they have an herbarium, which is plant specimens, and they have all kinds of artifacts there. And so over the summer I worked there and I digitized their plant specimens. And so our next member is going to be Nate.
Hey everybody, I'm Nate Rodriguez. I'm a psychology major here at SAM. I'm also a sophomore. My career aspiration is to become a private practice neuropsychologist, and it doesn't sound as cool as Kate's or as long, but it's cool to me. And I joined the STEAM team because of my interest in research, as well as wanting to help other students in my position to have an easier and more efficient avenue into getting into research and starting the actual journey. And the next person for the STEAM team is actually someone that's not here. Her name's Valerie Gutierrez. I believe she has class right now. But she's an education major. She wants to become a first or second grade bilingual teacher, and she joined the STEAM team to be able to learn about different research opportunities as well as the grants process, so funding. This being so I can help teach other students about what resources are available to them when it comes to research. After Valerie, we have Pulumi.
Hello everyone, my name is Oluwa Pulumi Soyeba. I'm a biomedical science major here at SAM, and I'm a junior. I want to be an OBGYN in the future. I did grow up in Nigeria. The healthcare there is not the best, so hopefully when I become a doctor, become an OBGYN, make enough money, I can be able to start clinics in minority neighborhoods and open clinics back in my home country, Nigeria. I joined the STEAM team because I just wanted to do research to improve my resume for medical school. And I had to email a bunch of biology professors to join the research just for them to respond saying, oh, I don't have time or my lab is full. So I joined STEAM to make the process easier for students. Thank you. And like Kelby said, the STEAM team means science, technology, engineering, arts, and media. We have members from different departments here so we can cater to the different department and understand how they work. And our goal is to bridge the gap between faculty and students and hopefully introduce you guys to new opportunities, new grants.
So that's our main goal, but within our main goal we have smaller objectives that we want to meet that we think would help out SAM and student engagement. The first one would be the actual website of EURECA. Have you all ever been on the EURECA website? Have you all been on any website for SAM? Doesn't look that, okay. There's not an issue with the SAM website actually, but it seems like it's more tailored towards faculty and being mainly for undergraduate research, I believe, as well as the rest of the STEAM team. That should be more towards and tailored towards student. The next would be collaborate with other student organizations, which really ties into student engagement. So right now, Kate is working with criminal.
Crimes Victim Alliances, Honors College, undergraduate research symposium, things like that.
That's really get more student engagement and let people know that research is available to them, no matter what the organization is. Another one is to inform students on new opportunities. So do any of y'all know of any research opportunities going on right now? Not at all. We actually are starting a newsletter to sort of help out with that, because we really don't have a means of figuring out what opportunities are out there besides Handshake. I don't know if y'all have been on Handshake either, but so it's sort of a tailored new one for students for them to get research opportunities and possible internships to possibly get paid. Another one is interview professors and other faculty. I come from Lake Jackson, Texas, and it's half the size of Huntsville, and it's a community college, right? And so if I want to figure out a professor, I just ask my buddy down the street, and I'll know. How do y'all? I didn't know rate my professor. what's y'all's experience on Rate My Professor? Because every time I go on it, I see something bad about the actual professor. It's like 2-star rating, 3-star rating from people that either they had a bad experience or just wasn't that good, right? So to interview professors and other faculty, like how do you know you want to work with them if you only see them in a working actual as a professor? We want to make it more personable so you can actually see them as a person, right? And you'll know if you want to work with them or not through that, which will make it easier for you to decide. Planning more events. Pretty much for getting more student engagement. And I believe that we have, I can't say it, that's in the works. All right, next is sort of establish, which seems like the main goal, a part of the main goal for me, the reason why I came here is establish a transparent process into scholarship and research. Because I'm a psychology major. Reason why I'm at SAM is because I sort of actually learned about how SAM is sort of big in research, and I like the psychology program, as well as my girlfriend's going anyways. So I was like, I might as well go. But actually getting into research and scholarship, I sort of got here, even before I was on the STEAM team, I didn't know how to get into research. And you sort of like just stumble around in the darkness, which I don't know if y'all currently are, people that have gotten to research, how y'all's experience was. We're about to hear about her experience, which she's coming up. And so it sort of established a more transparent process for that. And then that says be on the lookout for us in the yard, because that goes with the events.
Thank you. So I'm actually going to introduce a mentor, a faculty member here, to kind of give his side of how this whole relationship works. And he actually worked on a FAST grant this past summer, so he's going to share about his experience, and then we'll actually hear from students who also worked on a FAST grant and or a type of scholarship and hear their side of it.
All right, so hello everyone. My name is Adrian Villalta Cerdas, so I'm the faculty here. I'm originally from Costa Rica, and in Costa Rica everything is natural and organic and clean, and so that's very important for us. We protect the environment, and this super touristic place. Now, this is kind of the purpose of my research. I have to have a purpose. I cannot just try to do something new. These are sites that are contaminated, that is mostly very close to water sources or in the water. So the only use for that water is to kill life. So what I want to do is create something that can remediate that. What I mean is 100% contaminated, let's go to 50%. That will be good enough for me. In the state of Texas, we do have a lot of sites, just in case you don't care about the rest of the nation. But to clean this up, we estimate around $370 billion have to be invested into this. So we could create something new that will lower the cost, but if a company is cleaning, and there are companies that just exist to clean these sites, there's a lot of money to be made. And one thing that I like is the money. Well, I don't really like, I love it. I love spending it. So if we create something, then someone can take that material, I don't care, and create a company to actually implement it. That's what I want to do. Now, I don't want to create a compound that is going to be toxic and just increase the toxicity of everything, because we concentrate these toxins, we have to place them somewhere else. But what we wanted to use is carbon materials, carbon-based materials using charcoal. Activated carbon is a little bit fancier charcoal. But I actually work as a grad student in carbon nanonions, which is carbon-based. It's just pure carbon atoms, but they're spherical. And not only that, there are spheres within spheres. And I just wanted to test it out. These two have been used to clean a lot of different contaminants. They absorb a lot of these materials. They work as a sponge, and that's kind of the idea. But I wanted to control more of the surface area. Having something that I know is spherical and I know the surface area of may be giving me some more information. With activated carbon, the more you use it, the more you lose the ability to do this and regenerate the material. So we just wanted to try it out. Maybe it's useful, maybe it's not useful. So what you see here is a microscopic picture and the 5 nanometers kind of outside. So we're going very, very close to the substrate, and it looks like an onion. So if you peel it, there's a sphere within. So that's why it goes for carbon nanonions. You probably heard of carbon nanotubes. It's different, it's just tubular. And I kind of like that shape. So we actually produced this, and that was part of the FAST award. We have to make it, check that it's there, and then see if it can work for this. So we went ahead and worked on it. So Sandra Simmons did a lot of the work. Ariel Van Sertima was present, so she was helping a lot. And then we took pictures and materials to have a visual cue that was really there. And then we tested out to remove contaminants. We targeted the stuff that we could observe, like food dyes first. But one thing is, let's say you have a bunch of water, you add this, and then it collects everything. Now, how do you get it out? Well, you cannot filter the entire lake. That's not possible. Now, you could recirculate the water and keep moving it, but we wanted to do something different. What we did is we took the carbon nanonions and we added nanoparticles of iron, so they are becoming magnetic. So all you have to do to pick up this with the contamination is to run a magnet through the water, or make the water flow through a tube and then has a magnet there, and we collect that. That's what we wanted to do. So we're working on it. We want to study how fast this process is. It cannot take months to do it. We want it in hours. We want to saturate the material and recover and know how long it will take. We want to know if we have a single layer of the pollutant just on the surface of this, or is accumulating multiple layers. And so there's kinetics and thermodynamic studies. That's pretty much it. And now Sandra has presented her work. This was done last summer, and this presentation was in October, I think, yes, in Austin, Texas, for the American Chemical Society. And this is the, this just happened. This was Friday, last Friday, for the Texas Academy of Science conference. And actually, she, I think, she wasn't there. She was granted an award for her presentation on the poster. So we're very proud, right? And a couple of weeks after spring break, she will be going to San Diego, California to present this work too. We have actually done a lot more during these 2 semesters, so we're gonna update this. But that's pretty much what I've been doing, one project. That's good.
Yes,
What do we do?
thank you so much. So I think now we're going to hear from some students. Are you going to introduce ours? Yes. So we'll hear the other aspect. Thank you so much for sharing. And please feel free to stick around. We're going to have a Q&A, and you can talk to Dr. Viata about his research and what that endeavor looks like as well. Thank you so much. And we're so proud of Sandra. I think a staff grant helped with one of these, right?
All right, we now have two student scholar speakers to come talk about their research. One of them was not able to be with us today, sadly, but now I'm going to give the floor to Haley Richardson.
I'll get off track if I don't keep this up here. So if I look down, that's me staying focused. But so yes, my name is Haley Richardson. I am currently a geography student with a focus in geospatial information science, which is just map making. It's just a fancy term for it, and a minor in homeland security. So I had the opportunity, my research actually started in class. So what I did was I had a GIS class. It was my first GIS class ever, and they were like, hey, you're gonna have a project at the end of this. So I started researching at the beginning, what we think is research, right? As undergrads, we're like, oh, we have to write a paper or something about it. So I start figuring out what I want to do, and I recently went to Hawaii for high school, so I was like, who doesn't want to go to Hawaii? So I was looking for map data of Hawaii, and they actually had lots and lots of data for it. So I actually contacted their department and was like, hey, I recently just took a hazards class, so I'm interested in studying hazards. That's all I told them, and they gave me a lot of data. And then I was kind of overwhelmed because now I don't know what I'm going to do and I have lots of data. But then I ended up deciding to do fire and floods and comparing the two. So my research was fire and flood hazards in Hawaii, and I took the data and I compared it to precipitation. So typically what we see is that dry areas are going to burn really easily, so that's where the wildfires occur, whereas our wet areas are going to have high increased flooding. But when you look at Oahu, one of the islands in Hawaii, it was actually the opposite. Our wildfire areas had a higher precipitation rate, which was kind of concerning than our flood areas. So is it the type of vegetation out there? Lots of questions being posed. So an easy project that I thought was going to be easy actually posed lots of questions, which led to my own personal research. So I did more research outside of the class, continued to do it over the summer. I had the opportunity to do an internship. So through my internship, I learned even more about research and realized that it's so much more than just writing a paper and deciding between MLA format and APA format. So then I got to figure out more ways of figuring my way through research and what does research mean to me. Then I learned that our department does a trip to Hawaii. They go to the Big Island, which is a different island than the one that I studied before. So I talked to that teacher, and I actually am her TA, so that's a different side of the story that we'll get to a little bit here. But so I had the opportunity to go to Hawaii, but it's the Big Island. So I wanted to compare the two islands. Like, is this the same thing happening on both islands or just one of them? And turns out it's happening on both islands. So now it's like, is it a data issue or is this actually a situation? And she's like, well, when you go out there, you'll actually see the climate, see the different types of vegetation out there, and you'll realize that it's actually the precipitation data that's kind of wonky, but where's this precipitation data coming from? So after I went to the field, I got to experience it, which is really cool. So if you ever get the opportunity to do a field experience or have research in the field, do it, because it's the best experience of your life. I try to find anything I can to go in the field now. But so I came back and I started thinking, okay, so now the data's messed up, but where is the data coming from? So I contacted multiple people about this data, and then I actually got different precipitation data from 3 different sources, all coming back to say the same thing. So now my next research, I would like to do some more ground truthing, because who doesn't want to go to Hawaii? So I'd like to go back to Hawaii and actually look at all the rain gauges and see where they're sitting. Are people actually checking them? Are they just forging the data? And try and figure that out. So that's my next track in this data, or in this research. But I had the opportunity to perform my research at Texas State University for the Geography and Environmental Student Studies Research Symposium. What was crazy is I went in, because I registered like you're supposed to, and I go in to check in, and they're like, hey, just so you know for future reference, undergrads are not supposed to speak. They're only supposed to do a poster, but I signed up to speak. So it's me against all these graduate students. Now I'm terrified. And then this comes to the misconceptions that we'll talk about here in a second. But I was freaking out. And what was really cool is I was the first person to go. So again, I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm just like, hey, here's my research. This is what I did. It was really cool. And then you get a Q&A after. And I'm like, I'm going to get ripped to shreds by all these grad professors. They're going to be like, but your research, but this, your data. I know they were like really nice and posed a whole bunch of different questions. And now I have other ideas to further pursue my research. But so that's the misconception, is like me thinking I'm going to get terrified and get ripped to shreds when that doesn't even actually happen. They just want to help you, and they want to improve your research. So that was really neat for me. But I actually placed second, so that was pretty cool against graduate students, so that's kind of awesome. Go Sam. I was the only Sam Houston student there, and they were like, oh, anybody else? And I was like, no, but I'm bringing more next year, trust me. So that's really exciting. But that's kind of where my area started. But if you asked me my freshman year if I was going to do research, and if I was going to go to grad school, I would have laughed at you. I would have told you, nope, I want to get my bachelor's degree, and then I want to go be a GIS expert, and I just want to make maps. That's all I want to do. And then I was offered the opportunity to be a TA. I love teaching. I have a horrible day, and then I go to teach, and I'm all good. It's like my sanity. So that's what made me realize that I actually do want to become a professor. But I realized professors don't just teach. They actually do research too. And that's what kind of started stirring this pot for, okay, well, what is research? Because my misconception, for me at least, was I'm going to have to write papers, and I'm horrible at writing. Thank you to the Writing Center, because they helped me a lot. But I thought that that's what I was going to have to do, and it's so much more than that. There's visuals that you're going to create, especially for GIS. Like, we have to create maps. We have lots of different maps, and then we tell you what the maps are saying and what they're conveying and what's the correlation between them. So that's one of my misconceptions. One of my hurdles, let me make sure I'm staying on track here. Yes, one of my hurdles was not knowing where to start. So like how I said, I got all this data, but I didn't know what I was going to look into. You're kind of in the dark place that you were talking about, where do I go next? Do I get funding for this? And talking actually about your research to faculty, one, gets them excited because you're paying attention in class. But two, it shows that y'all have something in like a commonality. So then they want to talk to you even more, and then they tell you where to find funding. So that's actually what happened for me. Was I'm a part of the Honors College, and I had no idea that they just, hey, you're doing something for research, we'll help you and we'll give you a scholarship. So I actually got a scholarship through the Honors College, but I also got an anonymous scholarship given to us by a past geographer from Sam Houston. So that was pretty awesome. They weren't able to go on the Hawaii trip when they did, when they were at Sam, so now they try to fund other students who can go. So that was kind of where my stuff happened. But do you want me to do like Q&A now, or? Perfect. Awesome. That's me.
This is great. Thank you. Yeah, so be thinking about questions that you want to ask our faculty mentors and our mentees that participated in this. I'm going to go ahead and talk about some usable resources that you can take and use this knowledge right now. So one of the biggest research opportunities we have, or opportunities to present research is the Undergraduate Research Symposium. We actually have Olivia from the Honors College, who is the president of the Honors Ambassadors, am I correct? And you help facilitate this, so if I get anything wrong, I'll let you come up here and correct me. And Dr. Madhu Chowdhury, who is actually, so EURECA co-hosts it, so he's been through maybe the last 10 years since its inception. So the Undergraduate Research Symposium is coming up. I don't think, can you attend and not present just to see? So you can act, if you're not participating in research or scholarship, but you're curious about what other students are doing, please go attend, see your fellow classmates and what they're doing. Some of them are just posing questions and or methods, like they haven't gotten that far in the research process. So you can actually present at any stage of the way here. So I just wanted to throw up this information because it is coming up in April. And then you can look at the March information for informational sessions.
You have to register, not just to present, but if you just want to attend, if you don't have research ready to present, you do have to register because there is like lunch included and things like that, and we give out a lot of information. And then you can kind of be with the program so you can see what sessions you'd like to attend. They're often sectioned off by category, so if you're more interested in the science, you can go be a part of that.
Awesome, thank you. I should have given you the
Just want to make
mic.
sure everyone has a chance.
Yes, no, absolutely. And so I'll let Nate introduce the McNair Scholars Program.
Hey, I'm back. All right, so the McNair Scholars Program is a nationwide program that's available to low-income families or undergraduate students from low-income families and minorities. I've actually applied to this last semester, which last semester was my first semester, which sadly got declined because of that. But we're applying in fall. And honestly, it's a really good program because it actually lets people from a low-income family or from that represent the minority population get a leg up in research and actually to apply to graduate school. The reason why I apply is really mostly because of the benefits that it has, and the biggest one honestly is that they give you a $2,000 research stipend, which is like, if you don't need to spend that much money, it's $2,000. So it's $2,000 pretty much if you need to do funding, if you need to travel, if you need to pay for any type of participation for volunteers, anything like that. It's really cool. Another thing is that it has a free 3-credit research class. It teaches really about qualitative and quantitative research processes and more like other aspects. And it's free, like it's waived from your tuition, so you don't have to pay for it or anything else like that. Other benefits that it has, it actually pairs you with a faculty mentor. And with that faculty mentor, like, what is your discipline? Yeah.
I'm in biomedical sciences.
Okay, so it's like, say if you were to actually get admitted into the McNair Scholars Program, they would find a faculty mentor in the biomedical sciences, and you would actually do a research project with them and complete it. Whether that's fun or not, who knows, that's up to you and the faculty, and if you can actually get the grant. But that's another really cool benefit, right? Which could lead to a publication, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it could lead to a publication which can help you even further down the line on top of what you're already getting. Beyond that, you also have personal mentoring from faculty and I believe also graduate students when it comes to career and actual academic advice, which is anything can help you out. I know, like, I definitely need that help, which I'm getting it now, but it's like, it's great to just have someone be there behind you and sort of tell you where you should probably be going and the motivation behind it. And lastly, which I think is really important, not spur, for McNair, for the McNair's program, is that it waives application fees. Do y'all know how much application fees for graduate school cost? Kobe, how much was your application fee for graduate school?
The GRE is like $300, but I don't remember if you only take it once. But I don't remember the fees.
Regardless, it's a couple $100. They'll cover your application fees and everything else like that, which is actually pretty cool. And any type of, if you want to travel for a conference, they'll cover everything like that. And then next, I'm going to hand off to Kelby for the SPUR initiative.
Sure. So I just wanted to mention this, and in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, also the College of Science and Engineering Technology has funding available if you want to do research and/or travel. So we can always work together with you and your department to help you try to find ways to fund your research, and if you wanted to go present this. And then I have 2 actual job applications open for faculty members that have sent them to me to try to find student mentees to take on. So the first one that I'm going to share is actually from the College of Business Administration, and so you can be from any discipline to apply for this, and you will learn valuable skills such as data collection, entry and management, coding, so things that would be broadly applicable skills for any discipline. So I thought this was really cool. If you're interested in applying for this, reach out to Dr. Maldonado, or you can reach out to me, and I can put you in connection with them. And then biomedical, so I know we have a biomedical student. How many biomedical? Just a few. So this is a biomedical opportunity right now to work with Dr. Griffin, who has funding. And so he's looking to take on students. You would have to commute to the College of Osteopathic Medicine, but it's a really great opportunity. It would make you look highly good for medical school. If that's your hope, if your hope is research, this would, kind of help seal the deal for your applications and sweeten your CV up as you're going to apply for that. So reach out to me if you're interested in this opportunity as well. But opportunities such as these will be posted on our EURECA website, and so that just I hope to say that you'll stay in contact with us, and then you can also come to us if you're looking for specific opportunities, and I can help tailor and find a faculty member that is in that wheelhouse as well. So all of this just to say, please stay in contact with us. I'm going to open it up to question and answers. You've met all of our team, so if you see any of us on campus, please feel free. We're very conversational, and we're just here to help you all. So with that, I'll open it up to some question and answers. Yes.
First of all, thank you. I'm really glad that you guys have developed the STEAM team, and everything that you're doing, all of your initiatives look really important and productive. And one thing that I've noticed through being a part of research on campus since I was a freshman, and then going on to become co-chair for the URS and trying to get other students to be engaged in research on campus, is that one of the biggest problems that I believe that we're combating is like misconceptions and stigma against research. The university has so much research to offer, and even more resources now for them, thanks to you guys too. And the URS and presentation conferences and all these things for people, but I think there's this big stigma around undergraduate students that research is very technical and traditional. And I think that it begins somewhere, and a lot of people don't know how to get into that stage where they just fear research and they don't think research is for them. And I know that a lot of you students, your stories were great, and it's really inspiring to hear that other students on campus have combated that and gotten through that. And I think that's the biggest problem, though, is how else can we use the STEAM team and other resources to combat the stigma on campus?
Yeah, absolutely.
Address that. Research and scholarship, it might be scary, and maybe that's the right word to use. It's scary because it's a deep dive into a discipline, but the amount you learn, it's going to make you your classes will be easy because the answers to all of your tests are in that engagement with the faculty member. You learn so much outside of the classroom, and unless you get engaged in it, I guarantee that how much have you learned just driving in the car with a faculty member in Hawaii?
Oh, so much, because you fly with them, you drive with them, you're living with them for however long. Like, we were out there for 11 days. So I learned my professor's favorite music and least favorite music really quickly, because he gave me the aux, and I was like, nope, you can have it now, because you just keep complaining. But you learn, for geography, we study people and the environment and everything in the world. But I learned so much just being not only in the car with them, but also we do a sustainable development project. So how to properly do roots. Well, we don't get to do that actually in the classroom. So it's hands-on experiences.
And would you say that it made your classroom experience easier?
Yes.
That I would, as
Thank you.
as an old faculty member who experienced this a long time ago, that's my experience. So that's one benefit to it. Let me address the one initiative we have, which I think we could elaborate on maybe a little bit, is this sense of community. And I talked about, our rave. My idea, or what I would really like, is for you all to build a sense of community with your peers. And we're renovating our space right now to create a working, I don't know what you call it, a collaborative space. So we're going to host events, opportunities for people to come and just talk about stuff, work stuff out on a chalkboard, not chalkboard, whiteboard. I'm going to have a chalkboard for me. But really just a collaborative space to get together, talk about scholarship, meet people, build a network, to build a community of undergraduate scholars and faculty scholars, so that as a group, as a team, an SHSU team, you can be so much more impactful and so much more powerful. And that, regardless of the fear, the stigma, that helps get us away from that stigma, because there's a network of people out there just waiting to be connected. We're trying to figure out ways that we can get you all connected. So Kelby said stay in touch with us. Please do that. Keep an eye on what we're doing. Look for our little yard signs. Look for the STEAM team walking around the mall area. Look for one of us walking around campus. I'm usually running from meeting to meeting. You can stop me and walk with me or run with me. And just staying connected, keeping your eye open is what we're looking for. Spread this message. Hopefully tomorrow there'll be 4 times as many people here. That's kind of, if that happens, and I know that sense of that mission to build this community is working. So I'll be quiet, but I think the sense of community is a critical piece to all of this, and that's what we want to try to build.
Thank you. I would agree.
Anybody else? So I think I don't know if there's another event. I don't think so. So we have a few minutes to stay, but if you need to go, it is already 3, so we don't want to keep you from classes, but we're here, so we're more than happy to take on questions. Yes, and take some food with you. So our office is actually located over by the University Police Department. Do y'all know where that is? So that's called Sam Houston West? South? Sam South. We're getting new signage, but that is where our enhanced collaborative space will be. So that's where we'll be holding events, but that's also where my office is. I'm always willing to meet via Zoom or to talk about even your career plan, and then I can help set you up with resources that seem to align with that. But I want to give anybody else any other questions, remarks, things you wish you wanted to see. Do we have some questions?
Perfect world scenario.
Yeah, perfect world scenario, yeah.
What would this place look like from an undergraduate engagement perspective for those of you that are not engaged?
I'll come over here to this side.
Environmental sciences, I know some of you probably know that like undergraduate research is important in the field. What is something that's maybe been like preventing you from already being engaged in that research and being in a laboratory? If you aren't.
So I'm currently doing research with Dr. Randall. He's one of the botany professors, and then I actually have a summer research project with Dr. Williams, the other botany professor.
Yeah, they just got a bunch of grants.
Yeah, so we're pretty happy about that. So I can't really speak on that experience, but as far as I think as much as I love the research right now, it's mainly data entry, which is great and all. It's a new skill set, but I really want to get into like lab research, and it's kind of hard because, as y'all stated, a lot of the professors are like, oh, I don't have time for that, or my lab is full. So I think that's one of the issues, is just seeing what professors are available or even open to accepting new research students. So that's one of my suggestions.
Absolutely. Thank you, and I can just speak to that, that we are aware of what faculty members are saying as barriers, so we're trying to come up with a plan to combat that. We're going to take this data from the students' perspective on what we need to do and pair it with some other data from meeting with faculty. So we kind of did a similar thing and asked faculty what they hope to see as far as barriers. So hopefully we will have some solutions to that, which might be multiple, different tactics that we can take to allow faculty to free up time and for that mentorship.
I can ask the students a question again. So are there any other students in here that aren't in like the sciences?
Well, mine's bilingual healthcare studies, and I came just because I don't really have anyone that has even gotten a master's or anything like that, and I'm a first gen. So that's why I came, just to get more information. Because I know I want to get my master's, but I just don't have that
Know the
connection.
path?
Did you say bilingual healthcare?
Bilingual healthcare studies. So I don't know anyone. I know I'm going to set up a meeting to talk to Dr. Keithley, but I just don't know.
I think this is a good illustration of why being connected to a
Well, we're live.
I mean, it's public, but it hasn't been released university-wide. We're doing the social media and media releases now. But we just got a large grant from the Department of State Health Services to create a vaccine education program for the state of Texas. A large piece of that is cross-cultural communications. And it's like $6.1 million. And a large piece of that is going to go to exactly what you are interested in. And there are faculty in College of Health Sciences and World Languages and Culture that are working together to develop the content, basically, so we can reach multiple, cultures in Texas. Can you not hear me?
Not on the live.
Okay, well, that's good because I don't want this live. Just joking. Being connected, we now know you. We know what you're interested in. I can call the associate dean in health science. I was actually just on the phone with her right before I came over here. I'll call her back and say, hey, I have a student that is interested in bilingual healthcare, and why don't you set up a meeting with her and just see if she might be able to help you guys on this project, because they're going to be looking for students to help with the workload.
Absolutely, and actually on our Eureka website right now, if you go to shsu.edu/Eureka, we have a built-in new button. It's one of our first upgrades for our website. So it's up there. You can click Find a Mentor, and what that does is it asks you what you're interested in, what your department is, and you can leave a little blurb, and then I can connect with you and then directly find you somebody who might have experiences and or funding in that area. And so far, I don't believe that there's been a student that I haven't been able to connect with somebody. So yes, please email us. It's us behind the computers. It's usually just me connecting. So please feel free. We're trying to try to create that bridge of the scary first interaction. Well, with that, we can definitely feel free. Well, in the live session, was there anything in the live that we needed to? Okay, great. Well, if you're joining us live and or watch this later, please feel free to email us any questions. And then this will conclude our first Undergraduate Scholars Forum. Thank you so much for your questions, your thoughtfulness, and for attending. And thank you to our speakers and everybody who shared their stories.
You are here to discover.
Inherently curious, prone to wonder, explore, and create.
Driven by moments where you're caught between a problem
and its solution.
We know this. We see it. Late at night in the laboratory, early in the studio. When you ask us questions or show us something you found.
We believe that all men are created equal, yet many are denied equal treatment.
Driven by sharing that Eureka moment. We're here to listen, encourage, and celebrate with you. The Eureka Center cultivates and supports mentored research and creative activities.
Because we know enhancing your college experience will enrich your future. Your moment is waiting.
What will you discover?